Breaking Through Barriers, a look at people pursuing successful careers. Steve Piorkowski is a printer. His work is exacting, varied, and strenuous. Steve enjoys his workday. His epilepsy is no barrier to his performance.
I have seizures. I have grand mal epilepsy, or tonic-clonic, that's what they call it now. And I've had that ever since I was a child. When I was around 3, I had encephalitis. It was a very, very high fever. Started from one of my cousins bringing measles in the house. And I was very, very, I guess I was very sensitive to that. At that age, you don't have that type of characteristics to have that strength to get over measles. And it developed into a high fever. That high fever left a scar. It left a scar just as if you would fall down on a piece of pavement or something and have this noticeable scar. But the fever left behind a scar, and it left it in an area that affects one part of my body. Sometimes I get an aura, that's actually a seizure. Sometimes it's a warning. I smell something burning. Nothing could be burning around me. And that's an area of my brain called the temporal lobe. Once it starts, it's basically just goes into a grand mal seizure. And I don't actually remember too much until after the seizure happens.
I learned about Steve's epilepsy problem shortly after he was hired here. And I was surprised. There had been nothing to indicate that he had a problem of that sort. And I began to see manifestations of it. And Steve and I sat down and talked it over, and we agreed that together we were going to solve this problem.
One of the hardest parts about epilepsy was one of the days when they took my license away and I couldn't drive. And I was working here. I had to find some way of getting to work every day for 2 years. I would actually hitchhike, which wasn't too good. I would either take a train and a bus up, try and get somebody to bring me up. Sometimes my father would bring me up. And that was a challenge in itself, let alone just my job.
No changes were made in his job duties. In the beginning, and several times during his employment, there were lapses of appearance at work and manifestations of having had a seizure. And I was happy that he and I could work together. And it took patience on both of our sides, because if you don't know there is a problem, you're judging people on what we shouldn't call normal conditions, and when you know there is a problem, then you make adjustments. Both of us made adjustments so that he progressed right through the shop to the top position.
I had some prior experience, but not as much as I ever had here. Mostly Fred, my boss, taught me a lot, and I moved through bindery, to a small duplicator, to the camera and the duplicator, and gradually up to the printing press that I'm operating now. I've been working here for 7 years, and it took a couple of years to master this press. first came into it, I saw, like anybody else, I saw all these controls and everything like that. But it's actually turning on a press and getting accustomed to that fear of everything going wrong. You just relax and turn on the press, and as it's actually running, you learn, how to keep the water and ink balance right, how to feed the paper, what kind of stocks to use, what kind of inks. I like mixing inks. I mix custom inks for people. It's almost like playing with mud pies almost, because you have to mix them in ounces and get them to the right color. It's not just going on white paper. You have to take a piece of red paper, black paper, and the ink. The ink is probably one of the worst parts, because it gets everywhere. You have to keep. It's one of the characteristics about printing is it's one of the messiest jobs in the world, but you have to keep so damn clean. If you get something on your hands, and that's what printing is. If you get something like a piece of ink on your hands, it's going to go all over your job. It's going to mess that up. So I'm constantly getting ink on my hands, and I'm constantly cleaning my hands. It's like this, one hand washing the other.
I think Steve is an outstanding example of overcoming and living with a problem. And I think he should be an inspiration to people that if you do your part and you make your condition known, then you can achieve anything that you strive for. There's no limit as to what you can do, given the proper understanding, and overcome the closet type of situation where you hide away because you have a problem. If you are square with your employer and your employer is square with you, there is no limit. I think employers should know more about handling not only epilepsy but other problems that can be solved by understanding.
I experienced being fired from jobs. That's one of the barriers I experienced. Not being hired, not being allowed to participate in certain things with friends, people actually breaking off relationships because they really didn't want to understand. They had something in their head that was put there many, many years ago, and probably many, many years ago before somebody put that there. That's called a myth or ignorance. They just exist on that. I think a lot of people exist on that because they don't have the education. I was married once, and actually the woman I was married to left me because she thought I was going to have a deformed child or a brainwashed child. I mean, a brain-damaged child, not brainwashed. And I'm not too hesitant in experiencing a lot of things, but a lot of the people that share what epilepsy is to them, especially when they're first going through it, they deny they're having it. They don't really want to be in a place where they have to take medication all the time, and they have to be constantly remembered that they have epilepsy. They start experiencing being an epileptic. They put that stereotype on themselves. When I first started doing physical activities, I played basketball. I went back to basketball, and I was maybe running maybe 5 miles a week or so. As I progressed into running, my body's endurance got stronger, and through a series of this exercise, I found out that I was getting stronger. And then as the running progressed, that stereotype dissolved. I wanted to improve my running, so I reversed it. I just said I was a runner who had epilepsy, and anything that got in my way, whatever, would not stop me from doing what I wanted to do and enjoy the sport of running. I wouldn't wait for a seizure to happen. That fear about, oh, the seizure's going to happen and I'm going to go out and I'm going to have one on the road. I don't wait for that to happen. And there's a lot of fear associated with the epilepsy. It's like, a person walking down the street into a dark alley, and not knowing what's there. The seizures are the same way. You don't know when they're going to happen. So how can you plan that? That takes away the fear, and I think the fear goes away and the seizures disappear. Along with taking my medication, I stress it. You know, I have to take my medication every morning, every night, because my seizures happen early in the morning.
On Sunday, October 23rd, 1983, over 17,000 runners began the New York City Marathon. Steve was one of them.
Oh, the New York Marathon. My friends say, oh, you're going to have difficulties about getting into this marathon. I said, I'm going to run it. I know I am. I really am, because I really want to do this. And about the end of July, I got the acceptance form. They said, congratulations, you are a runner. We heard that big cannon go off, right? And then all of a sudden, all these people were moving, you know, moving their arms and legs. They weren't actually running because there was such a mass of people. We were just following the bridge. And as we were going over that bridge, the Verrazzano's bridge, with all these runners, was rumbling and vibrating. My stomach was shaking. I said, let's get off this bridge quick. The last mile, I heard everybody going, yeah, all the excitement. And I saw this finish line, and my friends were there, you know, and they called me Spider-Man. I don't know why they got this, and they go, hey, Spider-Man. I couldn't even look at them. I knew that I had to just go for that finish line, because if I just even got off my concentration, I would have slowed down. But I was actually sprinting in, you know, with my friend, and we held each other's hand, because we're just running the race together and crossed the finish line together.
Steve is president of the Monmouth and Ocean County Division of the Epilepsy Foundation of New Jersey. Through their ALERT program, he goes into schools to teach children about epilepsy.
I enjoy my life a lot, and I want to answer some questions from you. Please call me Steve. Forrest.
What kind of seizures do you have?
I have grand mal and the other type, psychomotor. Do you want me to explain that a little bit?
Yeah.
Well, first, I could smell something strange and not know what's going on. And then I would just all of a sudden fall to the ground and start shaking all over. What happens then, you see, when my brain stops, it has a short circuit. It's just like when your house and all the electricity goes off. Well, your body does that too. Your brain's not sending any messages to that part of the brain that actually tells it to be awake, and it shuts off because there's too much electricity happening. And the whole time when I fall to the floor, they're still getting messages. So my arms are shaking, my legs are shaking, and I'm shaking all over for just about a couple minutes. And when I wake up, I don't remember too much, and I'm very sore. Alexandra.
When you ran a marathon, did you have a seizure?
No. See, what a marathon is actually endurance. You make yourself strong so you can go 26 miles. So it takes about at least 3 months of planning to run that. So your body is really strong. And in fact, I think that's one reason why I don't have many seizures.
I work with people to understand epilepsy too, because I've been living through it most of my life. I actually wasn't diagnosed until I was 18.